History remembers names not always for what they built, but for what they shattered. Welcome to Legacy Files Official, where we uncover the lives that forged and fractured nations. Today, we examine a man whose calculated rise would plunge an entire region into chaos, Slobodan Milosevic. To some, he was a savior of Serbian identity. To others, a cold manipulator who cloaked ethnic violence in patriotism. But how did a quiet, unremarkable functionary evolve into the mind behind a national tragedy? This is not just the story of a dictator. This is the story of the unmaking of Yugoslavia, through the eyes of the man who helped pull it apart. Born during the German occupation of Yugoslavia, Milosevic entered a world already gripped by division. His early life was marked by loss and ideological rift, a spiritual father who rejected communism, and a deeply committed communist mother. That clash of worldviews tore the family apart. His father, consumed by bitterness and isolation, died by suicide. His uncle followed a year later. These early traumas didn't just scar Milosevic, they shaped his detachment, his control, his coldness. As a child, Slobodan was introspective and passive, nicknamed Silky for his reserved demeanor. He rarely fought. He watched, he learned. He joined the communist youth early, not out of passion, but strategy. He wasn't a charismatic leader. He was the man in the corner, taking notes. A political chameleon hiding behind a plain exterior. In adolescence, one person began to change Milosevic's trajectory. Mira Markovic, the brilliant, intense daughter of Yugoslav partisans. Their bond was intellectual, emotional, and deeply political. Where Milosevic was cold, Mira was fiery. Together, they became a unit, one shaping ideology, the other strategy. She was his anchor and his radicalizer, later nicknamed the Red Witch of Belgrade. At the University of Belgrade, Milosevic studied law and befriended Ivan Stambolic, a rising political figure who became his mentor. Stambolic saw potential in the quiet young man, pulling him into the party's inner circles. First, Milosevic managed gas utilities, then banks. He wasn't just a bureaucrat, he became a skilled negotiator, brushing shoulders with the West during Yugoslavia's flirtation with capitalism. But beneath the business suits and formal dinners, Milosevic was biding his time. He was always looking higher. When Marshal Tito died in 1980, Yugoslavia lost more than a leader. It lost its glue. Ethnic tensions simmered. The economy faltered. Each republic pulled in different directions. This vacuum created a new kind of politics, not about unity, but control. With Stambolic's help, Milosevic rose quickly. By 1986, he led Serbia's Communist Party, outmaneuvering older party elites. Many were wary, especially of his capitalist past. But Milosevic soothed their fears with rhetoric of loyalty and reform. Publicly, he was the voice of order. Privately, he was orchestrating a nationalist shift. He played both sides, the West and the hardliners, with chilling precision. He didn't say much, but when he spoke, it was exactly what his audience needed to hear. Then came the Sarnju Memorandum, a leaked document from Serbian intellectuals claiming Serbs were being oppressed within Yugoslavia. It was Milosevic's blueprint, proof that nationalism could be weaponized as legitimacy. In 1987, Stambolic sent him to calm unrest in Kosovo, where tensions flared between the Albanian majority and Serb minority. What happened shocked the country. Standing before angry Serbs, Milosevic promised protection. He uttered the now infamous words, "No one will ever dare beat you again." It wasn't diplomacy, it was defiance. A promise not just to Kosovo Serbs, but to all Serbs, that their identity would no longer be compromised. Stambolic was stunned. He realized too late Milosevic had become the serpent in his garden. Within months, Milosevic orchestrated a purge, removing Stambolit's allies and consolidating power. The man who made him was now discarded. Milosevic's grip on Serbia grew rapidly through orchestrated street protests. Dubbed the anti-bureaucratic revolution, he swept away opposition in Vojvodina, Montenegro, and Kosovo. These weren't spontaneous uprisings. They were engineered. He used mobs like weapons, installed loyalists, and used state-controlled television to stir nationalist fury. In 1989, on the 600th anniversary of the Battle of Kosovo, he gave a fiery speech at Gazimistan, invoking Serbian heroism and martyrdom. The message was clear. This is no longer about Yugoslavia. This is about Serbia. For other republics, Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia, it was a warning, and they heard it loud and clear. In 1991, Slovenia declared independence. A short war followed. Then came Croatia, where large Serb populations resisted secession with help from Belgrade. Milosevic didn't send official troops. He armed Serb militias. He denied involvement. But behind the curtain, Serbia backed the bloodshed. When Bosnia and Herzegovina followed in 1992, it was the final domino. A complex, multi-ethnic republic fell into a brutal, three-way civil war. Cities like Sarajevo became war zones. Massacres followed. The term ethnic cleansing became horrifyingly common. Milosevic's fingerprints were everywhere. He denied it all. But the world began to turn against him. By the late 1990s, Milosevic was increasingly isolated. Sanctions bit deep. His once loyal people grew restless. In 2000, after a rigged election and massive protests, he fell. Serbia turned him over to the International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague. There, he faced charges of war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. But in 2006, before the verdict, he died of a heart attack in his cell. He never admitted guilt, never expressed remorse. Slobodan Milosevic was not a general, not a revolutionary. He was a bureaucrat who learned how to wield identity as a weapon. He didn't destroy Yugoslavia with bombs. At first, he did it with words, with televised promises, with quiet betrayals. His story is not just about a man, but about what happens when nationalism is fused with unchecked power, when politics becomes prophecy. For Legacy Files Official, this has been the architect of discord, Slobodan Milosevic.